So much for having my belt.
The numbers are stark, higher than ever, and it's certainly something, it's horrible when we get to this situation where we look at the numbers of exceeding now 100,000, that hopefully that will create an opportunity for more serious conversations about how we can support recovery in this country going forward. So thanks for your good work, thanks for being here, and thanks to those of you that made sure we organized this recognition. Commissioners, you have before you the agenda for tonight's meeting. Are there any changes you would like to see? Seeing none from the commission, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to an item that's on the consent agenda? That would be item G. If so, you need to ask for that item to be moved to the regular agenda. Any requests? Seeing none, Manager Ritzma.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to ask our Deputy City Manager, Jeff Chamberlain, to come forward. He's going to provide the commission and public with a brief update on the city attorney search.
Great. Good evening, Commissioners. First, before I get into that, I just want to mention that we had a network outage right before the beginning of this meeting. It affected our live stream out onto YouTube and Facebook, so we just started streaming live, so we are now streaming live, but we did miss the first few minutes of the meeting, so apologize to anybody who may be watching online right now, but that is resolved. Getting back to the city attorney search, on your committee of the whole meeting on September 6th, the search firm that's part of Michigan Municipal League will be working with the City Commission that night to basically have a work session with you at the 5 o'clock meeting to review your criteria for the posting for the candidate. And what that means is talking with the city commissioners about your ideal candidate, criteria, traits along those lines. And so it's going to be more of an interactive work session with the individual from the Michigan Municipal League and the city commissioners. So that will be at your 5 o'clock September 6th committee of the whole meeting. And just as a reminder, that's on a Tuesday night because of the Labor Day holiday. Finally, we are also going to be doing a brief community survey along those same lines of just asking people what are your preferred character traits and experiences and qualities for our city attorney. So starting tomorrow on the city's webpage, there will be a link to a brief survey, and you can also go to kalamazooCity.org/attorney search, and it will take you to that survey also. That will be up for about 2 weeks, and that way we can have that information to you as commissioners also that evening of September 6th. Again, we just wanted an opportunity for the public to be able to weigh in, give some ideas on their thoughts on the criteria for a future city attorney. But again, at the end of the day, the search process and the final decision making is really with the City Commission. So I just want to give you a quick update on that, and we will have the Michigan Municipal League here on September 6th. Thank you.
Thanks very much, DCM Chamberlain. Appreciate that. Anything else, Manager Risson?
Nothing, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. So now is the opportunity for public comments, general public comments. This is the one opportunity for general public comments that you will have this evening. Speakers will each have 3 minutes. You can come to the podium. Please give us your name and whether you live in the city. We'll start with those of you who are in the chambers this evening. But then I just want to remind people that now is the opportunity to call in if you would like to provide a comment via phone. And here's the number, 888-382-9556. So I would start calling now. You will be on hold for a little bit. As you can see, if you're watching, there is a line forming here, so we will have some comments from the chambers. But you can call in, and we will be listening to those comments after those of you who are present have spoken. Yes, please. Thank you.
My name is Ray Sweeney. I'm a resident of the city of Kalamazoo. I come here with several roles. One, I'm a member of Isaac's Affordable Housing Task Force, and secondly, a member of First United Methodist Church. On the first item I wanted to address, I was happy to see that the Gazette published an article on the situation of bathrooms in the downtown area. And I was wondering whether those in the charrette that was reporting in your committee as a whole meeting actually would comment on public restrooms in the downtown area. But the Gazette was supportive, and business owners were supportive of the idea of having something like a Portland Loo closer to the downtown where the mall is. It was when I was here for the July meeting, there was issues of people using the restroom in business owners' entranceways alike, which was clearly shouldn't have happened, but it would have been easier if there had been a walkable restroom nearby. The other item was stimulated by the remarks of Kevin Ford in the committee as a whole meeting. And I was interested in the metrics by which poverty is being measured here in Kalamazoo. And he acknowledged that that is an ongoing concern. And I did want to report to you some of our experiences. I'm a member of what is called Helping Our Neighbors at First United Methodist Church, and we receive calls that are directed towards us by a number of sources, 211 included. And it has been our experience over the last several years that there have been fairly, 6-8 calls a day coming in. Today, 28 calls. Last week on Friday, 15 calls. Thursday, 18 calls. The issues are evictions and utility shutoffs, and it seems to be mushrooming currently, so real time, that's some information you may find useful. Thank you, and thank you for all you do here.
Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Next, please.
And Vice Mayor Cooney and the rest of our city staff. For those who don't know me, I'm Pastor Southern from Allen Chapel AME Church. And I just want to extend and express my gratitude and thanksgiving for the funding that was made this summer for our children. Our church was a recipient of funding received through KidNet. And let me just say, we had a wonderful, fantastic, and successful summer. At Allen Chapel, we were able to get the kids involved in the church and around the community. We had a film and photography course. We were able to play sports and get to know one another. And based on how I sound, I don't know if I had more fun than the children, but we just had a wonderful time. And I just want to express my hope that you will continue to look to our children. You will continue to extend funding because we really need it. These are challenging times, but when we pour into our children, then we can uplift our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pastor Southern. I really appreciate your enthusiastic commitment to the community. It really makes a difference. So thank you so much for telling us about your program. Appreciate it. Yes, next, please.
Hello, I'm Michael, and I'm a student at Western Michigan University, so a temporary Kalamazoo resident. But I'm also the PR coordinator for WMU's Civil Discourse Initiative, We Talk. This fall, We Talk is partnering with the Fetzer Institute and StoryCorps, two national nonprofit organizations, to make WMU a One Small Step recording site. One Small Step will be an amazing opportunity for the members of the Kalamazoo community to meet someone new, someone they have opposing political views with. The ultimate goal of One Small Step is to combat political polarization that seems to be plaguing American politics. Participants fill out a short survey, which is then used to match them with someone from the opposite side of the political spectrum. Once matched, the two community members will have a loosely facilitated 50-minute conversation, not about politics, but about who they are as people. One small step helps remind us that we all have shared humanity, and despite political and ideological differences, we are all human and have more in common than we might realize. To sign up for a One Small Step conversation, visit wmich.edu/wetalk. Once there, go to the One Small Step page and click the sign up link to start the survey. I'm going to leave a flyer for the meeting to be entered into the meeting record, and then is it okay if I put some out on the ledge there? Okay, perfect, thank you. So let's take one small step together, join the conversation, and be a part of the change. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much, Michael. Fantastic program being sponsored out through Western Michigan University, a local community partner, and thank you for coming and talking about that very important work. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I'm a local painter, residential and commercial, but I'm also a visionary. I want to have a proposal for the city of Kalamazoo to paint the manhole place in the sewer drains with non-toxic paint, with murals and just inspirational things. When people walk, they can see beautiful things on the streets, different murals, something that this country is not doing, the nation, no cities, states are doing this. I believe people will take initiative to see something different when they wake up every morning, going about their daily lives, walks or whatever, just going about their daily stuff. This is the first time I'm, proposing this to the board. I had a couple of meetings with Jen Talena and the Waste Management on Harrison. We was trying to come up with different, I had so many different, ideas for the manhole place and the sewer drains, and just to get it on board, people to, represent, with mental illness. I want to do like the university, the hospitals, the public safeties, kids can get involved, in the summer, with their handprints, signature and stuff like that. It's a great idea. I have people sign, petition. I actually did a sample. Cause last year I did a sample just to show people what it would look like if you would just walk down the sidewalk and just see these beautiful murals, every day, something different, and they can, change them up, every year. It can be an all year round thing. Plus I want to, clean up the sewer drains with all the debris and stuff throughout the whole year. Because I believe within 5 or 10 years, I believe by cleaning this up throughout the city, our water system will be much cleaner, to use, and, it'll be such a beautiful thing to see people out, getting out, doing these things every year, even though, this has never been done and people don't think about it when you walk past the manhole place, you see these rusted manhole places, and don't think about it. But if you throw color on them, you throw murals on them, and inspirational things, I think people will appreciate it and, be a good thing to see. And that's what I want to propose for the city of Kalamazoo, to be the first to do this in this country, the state, and the city. So people come in from visiting, they can come and say, well, look at here, these people taking care of their manhole place and sewer drains and these beautiful murals and take pictures and all that, So I have so many great ideas, and I'm such a visionary. I see past, what others don't see, so just want to throw that out there, and I just want to be my last time coming here, so I want to be able to get it moving forward.
Thank you very much for coming, taking the time, and coming down here and talking to us about it. I appreciate that very much.
All right, thanks, appreciate it.
Commissioner Seals. Former.
Thank you. Mayor and commissioners, thank you for allowing me time to speak. I have an issue. I do not represent anybody or any organization except for Dorothy Pickett, the resident at 615 Wallace Street, which is the reason I'm here. I've been working with Ms. Pickett for a while on her address. She has a termination of her insurance to her property because of some overgrowth of her neighbor's property onto her property, which is destroying her fence. If she doesn't get her fence tore down by September 1st, the insurance company is going to terminate her rent, which will affect her ability to receive any grants if she doesn't have rent. As you know, with HUD programs, you must have insurance on your property. These two houses, there's one on each side of her, 601 Wallace and 619 Wallace. Both of these houses are empty, vacant. One of them has been empty for a long time. The owners have not kept up the properties on either side of her. She is squished in between two homes that are extremely in bad shape. Either the roofs are leaking, they have not been occupied in many years, and the city has failed at this point to be able to do anything about it. I know that, I think it was Matthew was out there today, looking at the backyard of one of them, and one of them is a jungle in the backyard, literally. I know I went out there today myself and looked at it this afternoon before I came down here to see what I could do about getting some volunteers to come out there and tear down this fence. That her insurance company is saying that they're going to terminate her insurance September 1st. I've got 15 days to find a way to fix this. Many organizations have offered to help, but at the end of the day, this situation is not within their grant capabilities to be able to do. I need a dumpster, and I need volunteers to be able to rip down this fence and take care of the overgrowth in the property to be able to save her insurance. So I'm asking for the city's help to be able to get these two properties in line with what the city's ordinances are. That's the least I think that the city can do for Dorothy Pickett at 615 Wallace. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Seals. I see that the city manager has written down that address, and I'm sure he'll be following up on that issue. Is there anyone else in the chambers this evening who would like to speak? See no one. DCM Chamberlain, do we have anybody who's called in?
We'll go ahead and check. Caller ending in 7419. Go ahead, you're live with the City Commission.
Hi, my name is Tina McClinton, and I live in Hi, my name is Tina McClinton, and I live in Kalamazoo. I am from Kalamazoo. I live in the south side of town, Southtown neighborhood, as you all know. Already from as many times as I have called and come down, and I know you could care less about our neighborhood. Believe me, it shows. For one, you never involve us in anything in our neighborhood. You never do. You do what you want, when you want, and where you want, and leave our neighborhood stranded. You take away land in floodplains so you can build. You build higher than our homes, which floods us more. But in that process, you leave the homeowners and businesses struggling with the water issues and the sewer issues. My neighborhood is Southtown neighborhood. You know, the one that you have ignored for 6 years now. Yes, we are a poorer neighborhood. The neighborhood with only one green space left to help us with the issues all of you seem to not care about. The flooding. Us being trapped for days. Your storm sewers back up. That happens when we flood. Been happening ever since 2017. No resident should have to deal with this mess. If this was one of your richer neighborhoods, it would have been fixed and would not have to keep asking the same question over and over again, year after year, and keep asking for an answer to our question over and over again. But not once whenever we ask you for an answer, we never get one. Kalamazoo is a mess. It's not safe for no one. Flooding and sewer backups in Southtown neighborhood, which is the south side of town. Pollution on the north side that's killing people. Shootings, robberies everywhere. And all you talk about is bike lanes and making one-way 2 lanes and building. Children are not safe playing in their own yards. Yes, when I was a child, you could play in your yard in Kalamazoo, but not no more. You are not even safe going to the store or anywhere. For the fear of getting shot, carjacked, robbed, or run over. Kalamazoo needs help to be safe again in the poorer neighborhoods. We are not safe. We are not going to, but when are you going to stop destroying Kalamazoo and start fixing the issues? Start fixing the problems first.
Mr. Mayor, that was the last call.
Thank you very much for handling that, DCM Chamberlain. Next is our consent agenda. Manager Ritzma.
We have 8 items on the agenda this evening. First is the approval of a professional services agreement with Jones & Henry Engineers, LTD, for assistance in the development of a Kalamazoo Water Reclamation Plant Residual Biosolids Sustainable Alternatives Report in the amount of $126,600. Next is the approval of a 1-year contract extension with Republic Services for the transportation and disposal of plant screenings from the Kalamazoo Water Reclamation Plant in the amount of $210,000. Next is the approval of a 3-year contract with Alexander Chemical Corporation for the purchase of 12.5% sodium hypochlorite by volume in the amount of $287,787.50. Next is the adoption of 2 resolutions granting a payment in lieu of taxes to Republic Development LLC, or a LDHALP, to be formed by Republic Development LLC for the proposed Zion Place Senior Housing Project located on the city block bordered by East Frank Street on the north, North Edwards on the east, East North Street on the south, and North Burdick on the west for the proposed 4% and 9% low-income housing tax credit projects. Next is the approval of a request from the Western Michigan University to publicly display fireworks at Himes Field on September 17, October 1, October 8, and October 15, 2022 during the half times of the WMU football games. Next is the approval of the mayor's appointments to the Economic Development Corporation and Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. The appointment of Sharon Ferraro for a term expiring on March 31, 2028. The appointment of Michael Gurney for a term expiring on March 31, 2026. And the appointment of Andrew Skipper for a term expiring on March 31, 2028. Next is the approval of the following appointments to the Environmental Concerns Committee. The appointment of David Benag for a term expiring on January 1, 2023. The appointment of Emily Demarest for a term expiring on January 1, 2024. And finally, the approval of the minutes from the City Commission meetings on August 1, 2022.
Thank you, Manager Ritzma. So, Commissioners, the requested action is a motion to approve items 1 through 8 and authorize the city manager to sign all related documents on behalf of the city. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Pradel, supported by Vice Mayor Cooney. Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooney.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The items on the consent agenda are approved. We are now down to H, our regular agenda. City Manager Ritzma.
Item H1 is approval of the following amendments to the 2022 budget appropriations: an increase of $1,102,756 in the ARPA fund, an increase of $139,500 in the general fund, and an increase of $187,000 in the capital improvement fund, for a total increase of $1,429,256.
Thank you. Manager Ritzma. Is there a staff report on this item?
Yes, I would like to ask our Management Services Director and CFO, Steve Vicempsi, to come forward, and he's going to provide a overview of what's being requested here.
Welcome, Steve. Thank you.
There we go. All right, so I'm just going to give a brief overview of what the mid-year requests are and kind of how we got here. So just kind of starting here, a little bit of history. I know you've kind of heard this before, but always kind of good to revisit how we got to a mid-year request instead of waiting for our regular 2023 budget. As we look here, last March in 2021, ARPA, the American Rescue Plan, was first signed into law. In May, we had our first interim final rule, which kind of told us how we could spend those funds and what the eligible uses were. And that's about the time that we start our normal budget process. Kind of continuing forward, in June, the federal government provided a reporting guide for how we do our quarterly and annual reports for ARPA, which gave us a little bit more insight into how these funds could be used and then what had to be tracked in the different programs and how we had to keep different metrics and how we use the funds and all that. Continuing on, last December, we did bring you, the proposed budget, which included our first, usage of ARPA funds. And it was shortly thereafter in January that the final rule was proposed by the federal government at the same time that we were approving our 2022 budget. And so there were a few projects that we, at the time, weren't comfortable moving forward with. We were still trying to figure out the rules, trying to get our comfort level. A few months after that, in March, is about when we brought on iParametrics to help us with consulting to understand this 450-page document of rules and how things could be used. And then, as I said there, in January, you'd approved last year's budget. So kind of through that, Commission had told us that we want to get more dollars out in the community faster. And so that's kind of where we came around to doing this mid-year request. We use the same eligibility and same rating systems that we'd used during the 2022 budget request. The one additional filter that we added here was we wanted a sense of urgency to these projects that we're proposing here tonight. So these projects, are going to benefit largely from being approved a few months ahead of our normal budget process. Hopefully they'll be able to all get off the ground within 2022 and start getting this money out into our community. And that was really the purpose of doing this mid-year request. As I said before, we kind of went through and we used the same filters we used before. We'd used these 5 filters that were gleaned from commission input, from community input through our community surveys, and we did an ARPA survey, and we kind of still use that same framework that we used in the 2022 budget. And so, as you can see here, focusing on economic impact, infrastructure, housing, youth, and safety. And so, also before I get into tonight's request, we did have 2 other mid-year adjustments that happened already this year. We had $1 million that went to KidNet, and I apologize, there's 2 typos on this page. These should both be listed as youth development, not economic vitality or safe community. And then we also put $500,000 into starting up our police athletic league and enhancing that program significantly to also help with our youth throughout this summer. So we've already put $1.5 million into the community through, different methods through budget amendments this year. So tonight then, we bring forward this list of ARPA projects of about $1.1 million. Just for everyone's knowledge, BDF stands for Business Development Fund. We have a couple of programs under there to help local businesses through various grant programs. And I did ask all of our other directors that have programs listed here tonight to be available if there are questions as well about a specific program. We're also continuing funding with our Bridging Opportunities, which will keep that program funded through 2023. That program's focused on, our most at-risk youth. We've had different presentations on that over the past few years. We're also looking at external funding to continue that, where if we get external funding, we can extend this past 2023. And so the further we can guarantee that, the better. We're also looking at a regional marketing study, partnering with Discover Kalamazoo, which will then be a study that will help us, in Kalamazoo, both for the city and for the county. It'll provide marketing materials and, a campaign that would help our local small businesses bring more people downtown, bring more people into their businesses, and give them advantages that they don't have currently. And then added to this as well is our community room. We want to work towards improving that room for hybrid public meetings. So $150,000 for that to improve both the technology equipment in there and reformat the room as needed to make those meetings more friendly for online users to help with our connected city for those that are not able to come down to City Hall as regularly. And then I guess before I pause, I'll continue here. We also, as we went through this process, identified a few other projects that we didn't want to put into our ARPA funds, but we felt a need to bring forward as an early budget request. The first two items here are related to our Station 2. Due to current supply chain issues and shortages, we need to both order furniture earlier than expected and also order a new server for that building so it can be operational as it wraps up next year. And those were both on our 5-year capital plan. We're just asking to amend the budget to bring it forward into 2022. And then finally, external vest carriers for our public safety. The ones that we currently have are wearing out, and we felt a need to get those ordered sooner than we otherwise would have been able to do without a budget amendment. And so with that, I will kind of open the floor for any comments or questions. And we have all of our directors here to help as well.
Thank you very much, Steve. Any questions from Commission at this point? Commissioner Pradel?
I'd love to hear a little bit more about the bridging opportunities funds that are being allocated. I think
we have Chief Coakley here.
And that's the program in here that talks about supporting 8 young people involved in the juvenile justice system.
Welcome, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. What is your question? I had missed it, Commissioner Pradel.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It just talks about the funding of the Bridges Opportunities initiative, and it talks about this collaborative program to support 8 young people involved in the juvenile justice. And it just talks about, that program a little bit, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for the question. Again, we are speaking of our most at-risk youth in our community. They are identified through our community partners, those young people who are at risk in order to build on their life skills in these areas, in particular about building confidence, their skill set, life skills, also in trade. And so some of those skill sets are, we bring in opportunities for the community to help us to do that, to give these young people a fresh start, a first start within the community, and giving them healthy choices versus having idle hands with idle minds. So that's what in particular Bridging Opportunities is doing. This year, the number was down a bit because of COVID still coming through the COVID situation and what was available to us. So we like to continue this program. It has been very successful for us over the years, public safety along with our community partners.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Yes.
Any other questions from Commissioner Decker? Except not for the Chief. Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a question for the regional marketing study. I don't know who's there to
Mr. Mitchell, come on down.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, thank you. Yeah, so is there funds to match Discover Kalamazoo for regional marketing study? And again, that includes the city of Kalamazoo and the county, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, are these matching dollars that Discover of Kalamazoo has already put up, or are these matching dollars that the county has put up also?
The county will be also putting up, or they're going to the county to match our dollars and their dollars for overall plan funding.
Okay. And is there, now you talk about the regional marketing study, that's going to be, is this specifically for the downtown core? It's just going to be everywhere?
It's pretty much Kalamazoo County.
Kalamazoo County? Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Any other questions from commission on this item? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on this item? It's item H1. Thank you again, Steve. Please come to the podium, give us your name. You'll have 3 minutes, and let us know where you live in the city. Seeing no more comments, the recommended action is a motion to approve the budget amendments. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Hoffman,
Support.
supported by Commissioner Decker. Any other discussion, Commission? Seeing none, Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Pradel,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooney,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Decker, Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The budget amendments are approved. Next is item H2 on the regular agenda. City Manager Ritzma.
Adoption of a resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation limited tax bonds in an amount not to exceed $14,955,000 for the purpose of financing fiscal year 2022 capital projects.
Thank you, Manager Ritzma. Is there a staff report on this item?
No, there isn't, but we have our CFO here to answer any questions.
Questions, Commission? Commissioner Pradel.
When we issued the notice of intent resolution on June 21st, it was not to exceed $18 million. Could you talk a little bit about why the amount coming in came at just south of $15 million?
Sure. So back when we brought the notice of intent, we were dealing with a lot of issues regarding inflation. We also, as we kind of went into this, between that time and this time, we really analyzed our current available reserves. More projects were trending, and really tried to hone in that number to try to bring down our bonding as much as possible.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Commissioner Pradel. Any other questions for staff on this? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on this item? It's item H2. See no one. Commissioners, the recommended action is a motion to adopt the resolution. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Cooney,
Second.
supported by Commissioner Hoffman. Any discussion, Commissioners? See none. Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Cooney,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Decker, Commissioner Hoffman,
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The resolution is adopted. Next, reports and legislation. Manager Ritzma, do you have a report?
Yeah, just one item this evening. In our community of the whole, we heard from guests from Notre Dame, the University of Notre Dame, on downtown placemaking, and just a reminder that they will be here this week, and I invite commissioners to stop in at the Rose Street offices of Community Planning Economic Development anytime, and if you want to chat with them or learn some more. So thank you.
Thank you, Manager Ritzma. Next is the opportunity for Commissioner comments. Is there anyone who would like to start this evening? Commissioner Decker, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to say regarding the one small step that was talked to us from the WMU grad, I think this is something that's great to do. I have signed up. I know a few other commissioners that have signed up, but it's really a way to, again, to have conversations with individuals that may not be along your same political lines, but you can find common ground in conversations. I want to say I'm very excited for the senior living development that is going to be happening. We definitely need more development in this nature, especially for seniors, but we also need to make sure that we have them more for families and individuals that are not seniors. So a big shout out to Mount Zion and their development team for getting that going. Dean Charette, thank you. That was awesome. That was a great presentation. I was on the call this afternoon. I definitely thank you for the invitation, City Manager Ritzma. I definitely will try and make it to the Wednesday meeting because what you presented to us excited me. It talks about how to really make our downtown vibrant again. It talks about what we need to do as a city and as a commission when we're thinking about approving certain things and certain buildings that are being erected within this area. I also want to give a shout out to the financial team. You guys are bringing us things that are using the ARPA funds that we have for the benefit of the city. I do hope that, or I know that when we have the new budget that comes towards us, there's going to be tons of dollars that are going to be invested again in the 5 priorities that the commission talked about at our retreat at the beginning of this year. I look forward to our next retreat to see how else we can decide what 5 priorities we want to stay with and what funds and how we can use those ARPA funds to the benefit of the city before they expire. I believe we have until December 2023 to allocate these funds, 2024 to allocate them,
Yes.
and 2026 to use them. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. So I look forward to that. I'm also gonna put in and ask if I could, City Manager Ritzema, if you could maybe have you and your team maybe take a look at some avenues, as we heard from one of our public speakers today about public restrooms and just kind of exploring some options for portaloos, things like that, maybe some temporary porta potties in the downtown area. I was just having a conversation with someone, and you know, you think you want to go to an event that's downtown in Bronson Park, but there's really no place for the public to go. I know we've got the playground that is going together, and they're going to have their own separate portaloo, but unfortunately, that's not going to be open 24 hours a day for residents to use. And I really think that we need to take a look at the areas, especially now with the Dean Charette team coming in and showing us the many vacant areas that we have, that we could possibly utilize those for some public bathrooms and public spaces for that. I will say I did have a great conversation with some of the business owners downtown on the mall. They have very good, valid points. They have concerns, and I listened and I took notes, and I'm still working on that, ladies, to get that out to the entire commission and city staff. I just, hope that you guys are also at the August 23rd meeting that's happening with downtown Kalamazoo and Clarence. I just spoke with him yesterday, so he has got some great ideas. It may not be exactly what you're looking for. It may not be a permanent one, but it's something for right now until we figure out what we're able to do with some of the businesses downtown and make them feel, that we're listening, because we are. It just takes time to get things done. So I want to first of all say thank you for having that open and honest conversation with me. I know we talked about how sometimes it can be intimidating coming to one of these meetings and having to speak in front of tons of people. So I'm glad that I was able to be there for you, just to be able to talk privately and honestly, and I appreciate that. I want to give a last shout out to one of our commissioners who's having a wonderful birthday today, Commissioner Pradel's today. Don't mean to put you on the spot, but I feel like we are all family here, so I want to make sure that we're able to recognize that. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. I thought you were going to maybe lead us in singing, but we'll do that afterwards.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner Decker. I appreciate it. Honestly, there's nowhere I'd probably rather be than on my birthday than doing this work. So, a couple just quick updates. Can't emphasize the importance enough. We heard from Deputy City Manager Chamberlain earlier about the community survey that's going to be available starting tomorrow for our city attorney search. Clyde. It is going to be at kalamazoocity.org/attorney search. And I just want to emphasize again, that there have been 3 of us on a subcommittee. Mayor, Commissioner Decker, and I have been on this subcommittee since spring, and there is a planned presentation on September 6th. Again, Jeff mentioned this earlier, but just keep in mind that September 6th is a Tuesday because of the Labor Day holiday. We had our friends here from the Recovery Institute earlier to honor Recovery Month, which is coming up in September. They have 2 very important community events, one on August 31st and the other on September 10th. So check out their website, social media to find out more about those events. But also be on the lookout for City Hall, which will turn purple the week of August 31st in honor of Recovery Month as well. Just want to echo comments earlier about the housing development going up. Just talk about a great partnership here where you talk about the faith-based community, Mount Zion Baptist Church working with Hollander Development or Republic Development in the city on a project for 74 new units. I mean, that's incredible, and it goes to show about, we heard a presentation from Mr. Kevin Ford during our Committee of the Whole meeting about one of the biggest issues or impetuses holding us back from progress, especially with those who are struggling the most in our community, are the silos that exist. Well, here's a great example of where the faith-based community development in the municipality can come together to solve a problem and do it in an extremely meaningful way. 74 units is a decent chunk. It's not enough for what we need, but it's a huge start and it's a huge dent. And then also, if you didn't get a chance to tune in for our Committee of the Whole meeting and some of our upcoming ones, it's an anniversary this year for the Foundation for Excellence. Each preceding or following Committee of the Whole, we will have a different presentation on different elements that have been impacted by the Foundation for Excellence. Today we got to hear a great presentation from Kevin Ford about shared prosperity Kalamazoo, and I would encourage folks to tune in and listen in to that as well. So that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Pradel, and happy birthday. Commissioner Hoffman.
Thank you. I just wanted to say to the gentleman who brought the idea and that creative way of looking at our neighborhoods with the manholes, thank you for stepping up and bringing that as an idea to our community to beautify and to help us become more connected as human beings. So I appreciate you for doing that, and I hope that we can make that come to a reality for you and our communities and our core neighborhoods. That was number 1. And also speaking about the SPK, just the focus areas just really hit me dead in the chest today. Families, jobs, and youth. These are the 3 pillars of what makes our neighborhood good and safe, and it makes our community even better. And I love the presentation that we had from the Notre Dame guest today. And we have issues happening where people are downtown utilizing the spaces in ways that is not comfortable for anyone. And so I hope that we can have both and when we think about beautifying and changing what downtown looks like, but that we can also pay attention and get affordable, permanent, supportive housing for individuals who really need it, who are suffering from mental health issues and this deep trauma that allows them to do some of the things that they are doing and when making others uncomfortable and not making our city as desirable as it is. So I hope we can do something great with the edifices and all of the external and exterior, and we need to do something so our business owners do feel like they want to stay. I don't want to see anyone leave because it is beautiful, and I love your popcorn and I love the chocolate. I'm just going to put it out there. So we have work to do. So let's not focus solely on bricks and mortar, but let's remember people. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. Vice Mayor Cooney.
Pastor Southern came up tonight and told us about how much the summer program he had in his church meant for the young people there. And I was just thinking that most of these programs that we did this summer are coming to a close, and we sure had a lot of them. We had more than 30 programs initiated by the community. We had the Police Athletic League, soccer and basketball, which I understand had more than 150 players in the midnight basketball program, and they're having their playoffs this week. And the Parks and Recreation camps and kick pool. You know, researchers tell us that with COVID, one of the things that has impacted young people the most is the lack of social skills because they haven't been out there. And these things certainly have made a great difference in these young people's lives. I was able to visit a lot of these programs, and I could just see how it was doing. And these summer programs also do a lot for the young people because I could see the staff giving those kids respect and what that meant to them. And the relationships that the kids gained with each other. And also the relationships that and the models that they saw with the staff. So whatever money we spent this summer on those programs really made a difference in those kids' lives.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. First of all, I just want to recognize we are missing a couple of commissioners tonight. I think there's a health issue with at least one. I'm not sure.
Been a little lonely over here, Mayor.
What's that?
Been a little
I know, I
lonely
can
over
see
here.
that. The whole dais is tilting this way, but yes. So look for them to be back, and I know there were some health issues involved, so I'm looking for a speedy recovery there. And I know we're all looking for having a full contingent here at our next meeting. One of the just amazing things that you get to do when you're sitting in this seat, and actually in all our seats, is just go to a whole variety of community events. And we don't talk about all those events that we go to. We were at several together here over this past week, but there's a couple I want to recognize that I got to go to on Saturday this week. First of all, I want to put this in the light of what a presentation that was made to us here by Michael from Western and what you recognize, Commissioner Decker, how important it is for us to talk to each other and see each other as fully human and know that part of each other. It's a time of anger, and someone has got to be the force that's going to remember that we're going to talk about how we are alike, not how we are unalike. And I think it's so important to do that. So in light of all that, I attended an event for the African Christian Church. It was just kicking off and getting formed here in the Kalamazoo area. It was an event that was translated. It was in 2 languages, English and the language of primarily refugees that are coming this way from Congo and Malawi, a growing community here in Kalamazoo. And I can tell you what an energetic ceremony that was. And right here in Kalamazoo, people are very happy to be here, happy to be in this country, happy to be in this community, and intent on making lives for themselves here. Really enthusiastic, and it was heartwarming to be a part of that. I left from that and went directly to a recognition of the 25th anniversary of the Indo-American Center, which is here. Actually, it's been 26 years. It was 25 as last year, but which is recognizing people who have roots in India, who are now living here. Also, once again, well-intended, a lot of enthusiasm, and it was literally, here I am in Kalamazoo going from an almost, one culture to another just by separation of a few miles and a few moments. And it was very powerful for me. And we talk about that a lot up here, I think, the importance of that. And I guess I just want to remind all of us that this is the work we have to do as a community. You know, we have around us at the same time, we have people making unfortunate choices to use weapons and shoot at each other. And that obviously is not helping anyone. The shooters, the people getting shot, the ramifications that occur in neighborhoods, this is something we all have to pull together as a community and look for each other and not wait for there to be a public safety response, but be those aunts and uncles and neighbors and cousins and just human beings for each other we need to be to try the best we can to create a situation where that is not a choice that any person feels like they need to make here in Kalamazoo. So out of all that, you know, it just reminds me once again, we need to respect and honor our diversity, but always recognize our profound shared humanity. Last item on our agenda is a recommendation from the city attorney, Robinson, to go into closed session to consider attorney-client material exempt from disclosure by state and federal statute. So the motion is to go into closed session to consider attorney-client material exempt from disclosure by state and federal statute. May I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Cooney,
Second.
supported by Commissioner Decker. Just a question here. Attorney Robinson, will we need to come back into open session after this closed session? We will not. All right. So at this point, this is how it works. When we go into closed session, we will be leaving this room here. And sometimes we come back after closed session to take action. In this case, we will not be doing that. So that means at this time, I will say, I love you, Kalamazoo. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Thank you, Attorney Robinson, why you're so critically important to be up here. So we have a motion on the floor. I don't get to say those words yet. Clerk Borlene.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooney.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker.
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Thank you very much. The motion passes. I love you, Kalamazoo. We are adjourned.